Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now as a YouTube channel host, I have the great advantage for a couple of reasons. One, I'm always looking for new products to take a look at, and two, I get some excellent feedback from my viewers and subscribers. So today's video has been made possible by subscriber Flash Force, who gave me some great advice. He suggested taking a look at T.Kell knives. So here in my hands, I have the Bushman from T.Kell knives. Now, T.Kell knives, Tim Kell, he is a U.S. military veteran who has a great lineup of blades. Very cool, USA made by him himself and some of his crew. They do an excellent job. They have a number of different styles, really straddling between the, I would say, sort of tactical and self-defense genre, but also outdoor and a little bit of bushcraft. So very cool. I do feel as though these sit in a nice pocket where they're all EDC size, so very compact, easy to keep at your side, put in a pack, wear on your belt, and they are low profile. So I am very excited, and this has set me on a little bit of a path where Tim and I now, well, we've had a couple of projects together. I had the opportunity to meet with Tim at Blade Show 2021 down in Atlanta. It was a great time, got to look at his booth and cover his products in detail. But now moving forward for some field use, here I have the Bushman. I am extremely excited to put this to good hard use. I'm out here today, it's Friday, time for Friday night fires. I need to get myself a fire processed, and we are going to use this Bushman at length. So with that said, I have a whole bunch to do and a whole bunch to share with you. And if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about what I'm about to get into, do me a favor, stay tuned. Now before we get too far, I would like to say thank you very much to Flash Force for bringing T.Kell knives to my attention, and thank you very much to Tim Kell for providing this Bushman here for review. Now this Bushman from T.Kell knives is made of 1095 high carbon steel. Based on my measurements, this is around 4¼ millimeters, which is right between a 5/32 and a 3/16 inch blade stock thickness. So roughly 0.15, 0.16, something like that. This has a nickel boron coating, which is unique to T.Kell knives. It is in essence kind of like a self-lubricating coating, which is interesting. So this should slice through the wood with ease. I will be very interested to see first how it performs in terms of like friction and if the knife binds at all, which it shouldn't, but also how durable the coating is, so that's something I'll be looking at. Now overall, this is roughly a 9-inch knife, so you have a 4.5-inch blade and a 4.5-inch handle. Some of Tim's knives are smaller, in fact most of them. At the time of this video, this is the largest knife in his collection, and you'll notice here it has a little bit of a bushcraft style. A high saber grind, flat grind to a secondary bevel, drop point design, and has this really cool topo pattern on top of it. So pretty much a sort of like topo pattern etched onto this, both on the blade and on the handle. The handle in this particular case is a G10, and you can see here it has 3 nicely placed oversized, and these are bolts, but the bolt on the back can be removed if you want to use this as a lanyard hole. So very cool. And the other thing that Tim Kell does very well, he actually offers additional handle scales if you so choose in a number of different patterns. So here you'll see these are very smooth. This is a smooth pattern if you so choose. Now for me personally, in sort of that bushcraft application, I do prefer a handle scale that does not have a lot of traction. I like to minimize hot spots, and especially when using a knife at length. However, if you do want a little more grip, well, you can add the grenade grips. So here you'll see this is Tim's grenade pattern, and you can get a number of different materials. So in this case, both of these in G10, you can get multi-layered, multicolored G10 of different sorts. You can also get micarta, so very cool. And these are directly interchangeable. And not only that, but Tim also will make multiple knives with the same style handle, which is really neat because, well, once you start investing in his knives, let's just say you have a number of different handle slabs, you can sort of mix and match and interchange as you so choose. So very nicely done, well thought through, an interesting package, and I can't wait to see how this performs. So today we are going to try both of these out to get an impression. First, I'm going to use the smooth handles. Later on, we'll get into a little bit more work using the grenade pattern, and we'll see if I get any impressions or if there's a difference in, grip and performance and purchase on the knife. And other than that, this thing is pretty cool. Now, my initial impression is that the handles on these are fairly thin. Now, that's by design. These are made to be a slim profile, nice and compact, sort of slip easily into pockets, onto equipment, and really be a true EDC option. So I would not expect a nice wide palm swell. So it will be interesting to see how this performs and how it feels in my hands. But my initial impression, the handle is nicely sized and indexes very well. And especially here with the smooth handle, everything nicely contoured. And I gotta give it to Tim. For somebody who's creating interchangeable handles, the fact of the matter is these are very tight to the tang. There's not a lot of lip and overlap like you get on a lot of production knives that actually don't allow swappable handles. So the fact of the matter, the fit and finish on these, absolutely fantastic. And I am impressed at an initial glimpse. As we get things started, you see I am rocking this in my front cargo pocket. I do use cargo pants quite a bit. In a knife this size, it is really nice and convenient just to have sort of right here on the front. Now you'll notice this sheath is nicely sculpted and fits very well. Has this sort of multi-position clip on here. You can get ones that run either horizontal for scout carry, here in the vertical position. Now it does come with this clip. I can tell you my initial impression, I will swap this out for something like an ulti clip, because for me, I really want this to bite and grab so that I can easily and quickly deploy the knife and securely. But at the same time, this definitely does a nice job. You can take this and you can run it either way, forwards or back, so that you can put it on your belt. You'll see here, I kind of ran it this way to get it in my pocket today. That means if I was to put this on my belt, basically it would go under the belt and clip over, no problem. Has a little tab there to hold on, so that will work out nicely. But again, for me, just leveraging this little cargo pocket, that's gonna work well. Now you'll notice this also has the topo pattern on it. Very cool, nicely done, and matches well with the scales. So a great package, and overall very nice retention. I will have to see if this is gonna work in the inverted position. I don't know, I don't wanna drop the knife just yet, but we will test that in a little bit. But for now, let's get this in here and let's go do some good hard use. Now today is just one of those days where, well, quite honestly, the review didn't go exactly perfectly, and I accidentally ripped out the cord to my microphone for this particular segment. But you'll see here, batoning down through the wood and splitting it with ease. And this is the part where I say, well, for a smaller knife, this is doing a fantastic job with the batoning tasks. Being a high saber grind and having good overall edge geometry, this knife is doing a fantastic job with the splitting and batoning tasks. And the only limitation really is the overall span of the wood, so you will effectively be able to use this for batoning tasks just on shorter logs. But what about things like, say for example, cross batoning? Well, now here, turning the corner a little bit and getting into some cross batoning, you'll see the Bushman doing a fantastic job, just absolutely biting through the wood. And microphone back on. Now, even doing some cross batoning with a smaller knife, working extremely well, getting right through this and making smaller, more manageable pieces. And I really do like that as a test. Even for a smaller knife, it gives the edge a good hard time, and we are able to check the overall edge retention and quality of the steel, see if there's any issues, any deformation. And looking at the edge here, this is still absolutely perfect. No chips, no rolls, no edge deformation whatsoever, and it still feels to be good and sharp. Little bit of a slide on the nail right there, that's nice and sharp, but right there, just a tiny bit, that leading edge there still good and sharp. So far this little Bushman working very well. Now, just a minor detail and not a big deal, this scale did slide just a little bit, and that's pretty much from me hammering on this and tweaking it around and smashing it through the wood. So real easy, just loosen up these bolts, slide it back into place, and that won't be a problem at all. Just a little bit of maintenance you do need to perform from time to time, but no damage to the scales at all. And even after hammering on this knife pretty hard, forcing it through the wood and definitely racking on it at times, no problem. So scales just slid a tiny little bit, but that's not a problem, and definitely something that's extremely easy to correct. Getting into some carving now. Start by taking some larger chunks, bearing down here. Definitely a wonderful edge geometry, I can tell you that right off the get-go. A lot of times it takes me a little bit to get used to the edge geometry, but here, no problem. Finding that edge super easy, nice and refined and sharp. And even here being oak, which is a harder wood, doing a nice job in carving down, taking some nice healthy chunks. So this is going to help create a tinder bundle to actually start my fire. And just in a couple minutes, doing some nice work. I can tell you already, feeling great in the hands, no hot spots, and feels good. And even for a slightly thinner handle, fills out my hands nicely. If you look at the length of the handle, definitely a full purchase, no problem. You do end up with some of these finger scallops, which is helping me index, and no fear for sliding up the blade, even though there's not too much in the way of a pronounced guard. Now you'll notice today I did not do any stabbing tasks. I would not advise using this for too much in the way of stabbing, as you do not have a pronounced guard, and it's a little bit of a point on the back of that pommel, so it's not going to be the most comfortable or secure. You could certainly do it. I just felt as though it was not the most appropriate for this particular style of a knife. Could you do it? Absolutely. You just have to be extremely careful, but doing a great job with the carving and feeling wonderful in my hands. I'm just going to ease up a bit here. Get some finer curls mixed in. Again, just going nice and easy, finding that edge, riding right down the wood, no problem. You'll notice I have punched my knuckle down into the wood below a few times. That's my fault, not the knife. And actually, if I'm more careful, I could use better technique here to more carve down the wood, not just muscle through it. There we go. Being a little more controlled now, a little less aggressive. And getting some nice little curls. So granted, they're not sticking too much onto the wood, but you'll see falling off and giving me some nice tasty little curls. Now this definitely does not have much in the way of a sharpened spine. That is something that I have talked to Tim about. I am interested in seeing more of a bushcraft style knife with a sharpened spine on there, but very simple. Let's give it a shot here and see if we can do a little bit of scraping. Now, I'm going to take advantage of this little bit of an edge here. It is comfortable in this sort of alternate grip, and actually doing a great job scraping, surprisingly. You'll see there, a nice little collection of fuzz. That's more than enough to start a fire. Doing a great job. Look at that. I mean, fantastic little pile there. Gonna keep at it for a minute. So a little bit more there. And I would say more than a healthy little accumulation. So we're gonna save this for later. Not quite ready to start my fire, but doing a great job. This Bushman really performing. So at this point, let's swap out the scales and get an impression of the grenade style handle scales. So now here in the studio, gonna swap out these scales. Taking a look here, this is a 9/64, so 9/64 bit here, so hex bit. Getting on it here. I might need 2 of these. We'll see, but no, probably not. That's spinning pretty easily here. So yeah, that's gonna work. So we'll go with this, and we'll take these off. And you can see now, without too much, I'm gonna be careful. That one's going. Let's see if I can get this off without, yeah, there we go. All right, so, and that's the first thing. If I had to just sort of slide the scales back into place, you can see they will move around just a little bit, not a big deal. That's pretty much par for the course in most cases. But as I just loosen these up, take these off, and I am curious to see what we have going on underneath the scales. Everybody approaches things differently. And before I do this, this is a very important point, and something I picked up from Tim, listening to him while we were at Blade Show. Well, check this out. The balance on every one of his knives is like perfectly balanced right around that fulcrum point. So extremely balanced, and that's what makes me wonder what's underneath the scales. But by balancing the way he does, it makes the knife feel very nimble and light in the hands, and again, just extremely balanced. So when you look at that there, it is very nicely done, very balanced, and has a great feel. But again, mission here is to take out these bolts. So see here, these are okay, so that's cool. Sometimes you end up with like a little collar in between. These are obviously 2 different types of bolts, so a male and a female, so that makes it easy. And as I continue to get these off, we'll take a look at this in detail. Okay, so now, well, very interesting. No skeletonizing whatsoever And actually another thing I was wondering, you actually do get that topo pattern all the way through the tang. So the entire thing has the nickel boron coating and the entire blade having the topo pattern. So pretty cool. And that tells me that Tim has really thought about the details when you bolt on the scales to get the overall balance. You'll see it's generally balanced. I mean, the scales obviously adding weight, but not a super ton in comparison to the weight of the actual metal and tang and blade itself, but very nicely done. So at this point, what we're doing is we are putting on these grenade style scales, and as we look at them in detail, you will pretty much notice, I mean, they are literally identical, same material, same overall construction, just the grenade style having texture for additional grip, additional purchase, help you hold on to the knife a little bit. So I am curious if this will create any sort of hot spot, but the only way to find out, like I always say, is just to get into it and to do it. And looking there, you'll see it does give this knife now a more aggressive look overall. Pretty cool. And so now here you can see the Bushman outfitted with the grenade style scales. No problem, got these on with just the one tool. I did not need two tools for this. Seems to have gone perfectly fine. And now fitting in my hands, I mean, of course I feel that texture. Does it feel rough to me? I mean, yeah, a little bit, but isn't that the point? Gives you some extra traction, extra purchase, helps you grip on the knife. Now, would I feel a little bit better about stabbing tasks? Yeah, maybe a little bit, but not enough to necessarily want to do it. And I can tell you, and looking at it here, just that little bit of that point there is the reason why this is not the most comfortable. Now, you can do it. Personally, for me, with a bushcraft knife, I would probably soften that up a bit just to get your thumb over the top for those splitting and stabbing tasks, but overall, not a big deal. This feels really good in the hand, and again, just checking the balance. I mean, you know it's going to be perfect, which it is. And then in terms of its ability to fit back in the sheath, well, no problem, perfect fit, same exact retention. It literally changes nothing about this. So overall, just an awesome looking package and working out very well. Now, again, nice and flush to the tang. That's what I love about this. The fact that you can swap out the scales, yet you still get excellent fit and finish. I mean, fantastic. And the other thing that's great is, well, for me personally, I like more of a subdued look. You'll notice this matching in with my gear quite well, but let's just say I was going backpacking. This would make a fantastic camping or backpacking knife. You could put orange scales on here, brighten it up a bit if you so choose. So you could have a few different sets of these depending on what colors or materials you like, whether you like smooth, whether you like that grenade pattern. I mean, you can go either way. So I think T.Kell is onto something absolutely awesome, totally cool, and it works out extremely well. So something that would be an absolute must for me, carving out a baton. So using this now with the grenade scales, let's get a good feel. You'll notice I'm not wearing the gloves anymore. Of course, right on the end here is a knot, but it is what it is. Great edge geometry, absolutely perfect in my opinion. You'll see doing a nice job getting down and through. Granted, this is still just the bark, but doing a great job. And it feels good in the hands. Nice deep bite. And this edge is fantastic. Just thinning this out, getting a nice grip for a baton. You know, pretty straightforward, but something you'd pretty much have to do with a knife of this length in order to use it for splitting tasks. and generally very good. Not only a nice edge geometry, but great heat treat. The edge still nice, refined, sharp, and doing a wonderful job. So T.Kell, nice job, man. All right, so getting on some fat wood here. It's gonna be no problem. It's getting some nice chunks. So there we go. And doing some more scraping and making some fluff. A little bit of fuzz here. Working very well. Again, you could truly sharpen this spine and it would do even better, but I am fairly happy with the scraping performance overall here. And that's going to give me more than enough to get my fire started. So now the question is, scraping the ferro rod, well, that will definitely do it. So let's give this a rip. Oh yeah. Oop. Simple, actually, no problem. So all right guys, there you have it, a look at the T.Kell Bushman. So Tim Kell of T.Kell Knives doing a fantastic job. Now again, you heard me earlier say his team, well, there's only a couple of them. I know Tim does a huge amount of the work. He has a machinist, and I believe his wife is also, helps him out with certain parts of the process and the business. So all in all, very nicely done. A number of different styles, but this Bushman here, again, being the biggest in his lineup at this time. Overall impressions, extremely good. Great knife with both sets of scales working very good. Fit and finish, fantastic. The edge geometry and the heat treat, absolutely perfect. So no complaints there. Excellent performance. Good overall ergonomics. And I do have to say, this finish at this point, still looking really good. I mean, some scuffs and marks, but it feels real smooth, no gouges, and doing a great job just making it right through the wood with ease. So this Bushman, I can say, is absolutely fantastic. And if I have this my way, this is just the very beginning of a number of knives we're going to look at in the T.Kell lineup. So the Bushman here, I can say, I absolutely recommend it. So all right guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. Hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon. So this is the section where the annoying ice cream truck comes by. And so even cross batoning here. Oh, you fucking suck. You shitting me, you little fucking asshole. No chips, no rolls, and no visible deformation. It's just gonna be a noisy day out here today. Things are, yeah, a little bit frustrating. Gonna friggin' snap. And this edge is fantastic. I absolutely recommend it.